What is going on, my Houston Texans family? The NFL schedule is being released tomorrow. How many primetime games are we going to get? I don't know, but I do know that CJ Stroud, a lot of fans are going to want to see him. But with the schedule being released, I think it's now time we say goodbye to the 2022/2023 offseason for the Houston Texans, because it was very eventful. From getting a new coach, a new quarterback, a crazy-ass NFL draft, the Houston Texans, they made some noise, and I think they are on the right track. But like I've been saying, week one is going to get here sooner rather than later. We know the rookies report in the next 2 days. Then it is training camp. Then it is preseason. Then before you know it, the rebuild is going to be on full effect, and we are going to see a new head coach in DeMeco Ryans and a new franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud. If you want to throw in another franchise player on the defensive side too, Will Anderson Jr., because we traded up for him. I am excited for this Houston Texans season. But before we do that, guys, welcome everyone to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calvillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content. Follow me on Twitter at 713HSP. Follow me on Instagram at 713 Houston Sports. Let's not forget how this offseason started for the Houston Texans. We were the laughingstock of the NFL. We won a meaningless Week 18 matchup over the Indianapolis Colts, costing us the number one overall pick. Lovie Smith was immediately fired right after that. I don't even think he made the plane home. Then 2 days later, you saw General Manager Nick Caserio sit in front of a podium as white as a ghost and say, "If I don't do my job, I am not going to be here." It looked like the Houston Texans were on a slippery slope, guys. It wasn't looking good for a few couple of days. Then DeMeco Ryans happened. And it changed this city and still continues to change this city. The love for football is back, and the fans, the immediate positivity and reaction to DeMeco Ryans being hired was the Houston Texans are back. I cannot wait for week one. And we hadn't even touched free agency, let alone the NFL draft. DeMeco Ryans alone was enough for us to believe that the Houston Texans were on the right track. If you went to the draft party, which was so much fun, you could not find anyone who was saying a bad thing about our new head coach. We fully believe he could bring us a Super Bowl winning trophy. He just needed his QB. Then it was free agency, right? In free agency, we were all excited for because, Nick Caserio had said, "I'll be damned if I don't go down swinging." We had the fourth highest cap space in the NFL at that time. And the Houston Texans, although they didn't make any splashes, right? The splashes would come later during the draft. But what he did was bring in solid starters for both sides, right? For the offense, Dalton Schultz, one of the best tight ends on the market. Devin Singletary, an actual number 2 running back for Dameon Pierce. The trade for Shaq Mason. I think the Houston Texans are going to have a very solid O-line for CJ Stroud. On the defensive side, Denzel Perryman, Jimmy Ward. Like, the list was continuing for the Houston Texans. Every position group got a veteran. They weren't really the sexy hires, but hires that, you could say, yeah, I'm glad that the Houston Texans, they brought him in. Then all eyes were on the NFL draft. What are the Houston Texans going to do? There were so many different scenarios. Trading out of number 2, not drafting your franchise quarterback, CJ Stroud, taking a guy in Will Levis who didn't get drafted until the second round. All eyes were looking at number 2. That is when the NFL draft started. Then you hear CJ Stroud's name, and the immediate weight of the world was off your shoulders. The Houston Texans got their franchise quarterback. And every single day that goes by and I hear the amount of, things he overcomes, I hear the good things that DeMeco Ryans talks about him, and it gets me more excited for this pairing for the future. CJ Stroud is going to do so many great things here in Houston. He's already being a leader, right? We talked about the situation where he and Nick Caserio were discussing about getting Tank Dell, which eventually happened. I like that my front office is already listening to the franchise quarterback. We are ready to win. We are ready to be a competitive football team again. And it started with CJ Stroud. Then 5 minutes later, you hear that the Houston Texans traded up and selected Will Anderson Jr., the best defensive player in the draft from the Crimson Tide. There's a reason why they called him the Terminator. And for the Houston Texans to get two of the top three best players in this draft. Not only does the offense get their franchise quarterback, but the defense gets their franchise edge defender, and that is Will Anderson Jr. And the Houston Texans, like I said, they weren't done. They kept that I'm going to trade for every single guy that I'm going to draft. And overall, at the end of the day, and as I sit here in front of you now, I am excited. The Houston Texans, they've turned it around. This offseason was an absolute home run. You cannot find anything the Houston Texans did wrong. If they did, let me know. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe I'm being too hype. But I saw where this team was going, and I see where this team ended up now. I am excited for it. You guys let me know what you think. Go Texans. Y'all have a very blessed day.